Hello.
Hello.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Whisky and Doughnuts Christmas Special. Hopefully this tech is all working fine. We'll explain maybe a little bit about that.
I love that the first comment is see if something jumps out at me. I was very close to jumping out the first.
So it looks like the numbers are coming in up the top as well, which is great. We can kind of see who's coming in. So yeah, I think most folk are actually in. So this is all local actually.
Yeah.
I was going to say there's normally some new people around, but I think there's still a few new names on the team sheet. So
for those in there, so welcome.
Yeah. So new people, welcome to Whisky and Doughnuts. This is our Christmas special. As you can see, we're very Christmassy. Nicole's hair is
here. I am supposed to be representing Mrs. Claus today.
And I am representing this whiskey company that we will talk about later on, actually.
Or is that just you, Pascal?
Maybe just me. Yeah, maybe just me. So one thing you might notice already is that this is the first Whisky and Doughnuts that we've actually done that me and Nicole are not in the same room. I'm guessing it doesn't take a genius to work out why. I am the guilty culprit. I unfortunately tested positive before Christmas and had a solo Christmas. But my isolation period is over today, and thankfully I've tested negative today. But we thought just to be on the safe side, there was no point, for another day just to make sure that everything was okay. So before we start with anything, I'd just like to say thanks to Nicole, especially for sort of running most of this. John at the Malt Room, who's done all the pouring. Normally I fill all your bottles and do the sort of printouts and everything, but John very kindly went in and did all that because it's not a very good idea to fill bottles when you have COVID. Whiskey is strong, but I don't think it's that strong. I think we didn't want to do that to anyone. So yeah, John did the whole thing solo. So thank you very much. And then to the drivers as well. Normally I'm out delivering as well, but my sister, my mum, my dad, Nicole, and my friend Adam kind of delivered all your packs for you. So hopefully everyone's got them. But yeah, I've been sitting here with the fire on, drinking a beer. It's been really tough.
I probably had a few too many beers in preparation for this, should I say?
I didn't. This
joke's going to my
head. So great. So everyone's got their packs. Hopefully, you got your sheet in front of you. So the drams are quite obvious, 1 to 5. So we normally suggest putting them left to right. Nicole, do you want to maybe talk us about this?
So I try and line them up in the boxes as they are to be laid out on the sheet. But the first one you want is the chocolate covered one with the wee white chocolate stripes.
Nice.
I'll do what Matt usually does, which is say them in layman's terms so I can describe them properly later. And then we have the Biscoff. That's a giveaway. But yeah, Biscoff. Then we have the white chocolate one, which would be the third one. Then we have the jam with a wee berry on the top. And then the last one is the sort of sugar-coated one with a wee bit of chocolate coming out the top. That should be your final one.
Great.
We also we have a wee comment section down the side of the screen. So if you guys want to ask us any questions at any point, please jump on there and we'll answer them when we see them coming on. And if you have any comments, if you want to wind Matt up and stuff, just feel free.
Par for the course. Normal stuff. Yeah. But it is, Nicole's right. We've got the wee stream here and it's totally fun for us to sort of interact with you guys and hear what you think about the flavor combination. So I can see Mark saying been looking forward to this for a while. So welcome, Mark.
And Merry Christmas.
And Merry Christmas, of course. Yeah, of course. It's in that really weird limbo period of like between Christmas and New Year where no one knows what's really going on. So
what day of the week it is, it's just a number.
No, I know. And it's anytime you get COVID, I mean, there is the downside of missing Christmas with your family and everything, of course, but tell you what, the football that's been on Sky Sports the last week, unbelievable. See on Boxing Day, 12:30 I watched the game, 2:30, 3:30, 4:30, right through till about 9 o'clock. I just watched solid football,
Man,
And
there's never been something that you don't mention, like in football.
Oh, I tell you what, though, honestly,
Oh.
and it was just purely uninterrupted in a box, and I had a sore back actually from sitting on the couch because I hadn't moved, but it was great. It was, family time would have been much better, of course, but the time to get COVID, Sky Sports definitely got me out of a hole.
Yeah.
Right, should we maybe start
I know,
drinking?
I'm smelling these whiskies at the moment, and I'm ready to try the
Ready
first.
to go. Oh, we do have a good lineup, actually. I'm really excited about the lineup.
It feels like a while since we've done this, actually. It feels like a good few months now, isn't it?
The last one would have been Halloween.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Halloween.
Here we go.
I've seen a comment from Shilton, a man on the move in the January transfer market. Shilton used to work for Paul John and has now been signed by Milk and Honey, I believe it is. Maybe we should try and get some Milk and Honey for delivered viewers. So see what I did there? I've seen a comment. That was smart. Yeah. There we go. Right, let's have some whiskey.
Yeah,
do you want to talk us through the donut first, or should we go whiskey? I feel I've been talking a lot.
Yeah, but you always talk a lot. But I'll start with the today, so why not? So the first donut today is imagine the inside of a Malteser. So it's like a malted cream on the inside, which is like malted barley, like that's kind of formed into a powder. We whip it through with chantilly cream, which is like sweetened cream. And then we have the chocolate ganache on the top with a wee bit of extra chocolate drizzle. So it's kind of like a lightness with the cream and then a bit of a sort of chocolatey, punchier flavors.
Nice. Is that what's in Maltesers? Malted cream?
No, it's not cream. It's like a honeycomb form, but the flavor, the malted flavor, that's what's on the inside.
Right. Okay. And how do you make malted cream?
I just told you. You weren't listening.
You mix what powder to it?
Yeah, you have a malted powder, yeah. So it's
okay.
barley powder that you can grind right down and then put it through the cream.
Okay. Slight teething problems with not being in the same room. I drift off.
Actually, you'll find most of the time we're in the same room, you still don't listen.
Yeah. I'm focusing on the whiskey. So in terms of tasting, though, I probably would recommend try the whiskey first, donut, then whiskey. I think that's kind of what we normally do. So whiskey number one is a classic whiskey that we've never ever done. Sorry, with the split screen here. So we have Oban 14. Wrong way. So Oban, I wonder if I can put it there. Would that work? Oh, it does. Look.
There we go.
Oh, Oban is a little town on the west coast of Scotland. Falls into the Highland region of whiskey. It's a beautiful little town, actually, Oban, and it's a unique one in terms of whiskey because it doesn't. It's like a seaside or port kind of side distillery, but is also right in the middle of the town. So I can't think of any other distilleries that are quite like that. Oban was kind of built up around kind of central points, and in the 18th century, the Duke of Argyll basically gave people low rent to invest and build in Oban. So there was a lot of building going on in the 18th century, and one of the first things they built was a brewery, and then distilling kind of course they did, yeah, and then sort of distilling kind of followed after that. But the hardest thing for Oban was actually like transporting their whiskey. They found that most exports went out of Glasgow, and the link to Glasgow wasn't quite there. I think it was about 1888 there was a rail line put in, which really helped, so they could put their whiskey into Glasgow and then out. In terms of ownership, it's kind of moved around a little bit. Dewar's had it before selling it to Diageo in about 1930. So Dewar's have Craigellachie and Aberfeldy. So yeah, sold to them, or DCL as they were known, but everyone kind of refers to them as Diageo now. And it kind of trickled along nicely. Didn't have huge output, but did close between 1968 and 72. In the 60s, production in the whiskey world was really ramping up. But as a result of that, that's where the whiskey lochs in the 1980s came from. Whereas Oban didn't ramp up because it didn't have the space to do so, because it's so compacted in just because of its location. It couldn't ramp up, which actually has saved Oban because production was low, just kept trickling along. It was only shut for 4 years. Yeah, 4 years. And then became part of the Classic Malt series, which is Diageo's famous 6 whiskies.
Yeah.
Do you know the 6 whiskies?
Oh, no. You put me on the spot.
I know.
I probably could my way through it, but I'm not going to embarrass myself. Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if I know them. I shouldn't have asked. So basically, the Classic Malts was released by Diageo, 6 Classic Malts. So there's Oban, which is it used to be a 12-year-old, now 14. We've got Lagavulin. We've got Talisker.
I was going to guess Talisker.
Yeah, Lagavulin, Talisker, Cragganmore, Glenkinchie, and there's one more. Oban.
Oban.
Of course, Oban. Yeah.
You already said Oban.
Huh?
You already said Oban at the start.
That's Oban, Glenkinchie, Cragganmore, Talisker, Lagavulin. Oh, there's one more. See if the viewers know. There's definitely one more.
Somebody must know.
Someone will know the Classic Malts.
I feel like that was quite. You need to start tasting and drinking.
Sorry, I know. So that was. Do you know what I often do? I often get in a bit of a history one on the first one while I can.
Yeah.
And then, like I've done my bit. People have learned something, and then I can just Klein Leash, Rob Sutherland, correct. Yes, well done, Rob.
Chin chin. But no, I think that pairing's quite nice actually. The donut's really light, so as a first introduction to everything, I think it's quite good. And the mouthfeel on that Oban is so nice. It's quite hot, but it's not overly hot. I think it's the 14 helps, the years it's been given. I like it.
Do you want me to tell you about the production of Oban?
Is it interesting?
It's like, for me, it's interesting. I don't know if it'll be interesting.
I'm an old woman, okay? I don't want to sit through a spiel.
Yeah, well, just sit back, enjoy your dram. The production is interesting. So they have stills the shape of onions. So they are quite short and dumpy, but they use worm tubs, which is worm tubs, for those who don't know, part of the whiskey making process is the vapor comes off the still at quite a high temperature, as still vapor, and then you need to condense that into liquid. So modern distilleries have what's called shell and tube condensers. They're just much more efficient. But worm tubs are basically imagine like a big wooden jacuzzi outside a distillery with a coil that goes all the way around. It's basically a copper pipe. So when the vapor comes out, it hits these kind of cooled, kind of worm-shaped coil that turns the vapor then into liquid. Which is a good way of condensing, the old style way of condensing vapor into liquid. But what they do at Oban is they run the worm tubs hot. So rather than putting cold water in, they run warm water through the worm tubs. And the difference that makes is that it stays for vapor for longer. So it doesn't come out and hit this cold water and instantly turn into liquid. It will be in warm water, so it's going round as vapor, encouraging more copper contact, which then makes a lighter spirit. So that's why Oban is quite light, it's quite spicy, it's quite peppery. There's a hint of smoke to Oban. It's not related to the worm tubs, but there's a tiny bit. And yeah, it's kind of like not controversial, but contradicting. Worm tubs tend to make heavier spirit, but if you run them warm, you'll make a lighter spirit. So you're still awake, which is good. No one fell asleep during my worm tub thing. So great. No, I haven't tried the donut. I need to try the donut.
Yeah, it's good. It seems to have been going down well. Comments seem good. That's another thing as well. As we go through the pairings, if you have anything that you think's like rubbish or stand out or whichever way, we take no offense. Everyone's palate's completely different, and we'd love to hear everyone's opinions on everything. So yeah, we're very open to what everyone reckons. I like that. I love Oban as well. It's really good. It's got that salty finish. I completely get that. It's good.
Good donut.
Thank you.
I'm going to try the Malteser man.
Mm-hmm.
Or a reindeer man. Not sure what it was.
It was a reindeer, but...
Was it a reindeer?
Yeah.
It was a reindeer.
But no, that was good. I heard that. It was good. Nice start.
One thing we forgot to mention actually was
Hmm.
we recommend leaving a little bit of whiskey maybe, and recommending a little bit of the donut as well. We will go through these roughly about an hour's time, so it's quite a lot to take in. Leave some donut, leave some whiskey, and at the end it's quite nice to mix and match because we've paired these up for reasons we think, but it's always interesting to hear what people just start having fun with, you know. Whiskey and donuts are all about fun. It's not too serious. So as you can see, I'm dipping a Malteser thing into some donuts. It's not it's not serious.
It's not serious. We're here to have a bit of fun. It's Christmas time. I'm excited about this. I'm looking forward to it. I've been looking forward to it. It's good. I'm
just enjoying speaking to people.
You've been locked away like a wee.
I literally have been locked away, and I'm quite a social person, so.
You, a social person? I guess that.
I don't know. Who would have thought? Do you know, I'm actually really enjoying it. Do you want to tell us about donut number 2 again?
Yeah, okay, I'll move on. So the next donut is Biscoff. So Biscoff is one of those things that everybody knows about, and Perk has now been open for just over 3 years. So we change our menu every single month, and in the second sort of month of running, we introduced a Biscoff cheesecake donut. And ever since then, it's never come off the menu. It's changed slightly because it used to be a Biscoff cheesecake. And now, because Biscoff is actually vegan, it's a really great vegan alternative. And we have vegan and dairy-free donuts in the shop as well. So, it was a great chance for us to make something that people love, but it's also kind of suits more folk. So, yeah, we made a Biscoff donut. And it's just such a signature donut for us. It's like the Big Mac at McDonald's. That's what.
Don't put yourself in that category. It's better than Big Mac.
It's signature. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's what I'm trying to get. The signature thing. You know, so it's just a staple for us. It never comes off the menu, and it's an absolute massive favorite. And once I heard about this dram, I thought this would be a good pairing with the dram, because obviously Biscoff is really compounded with cinnamon. It's like the main sort of spice in Biscoff. So tell us, what's the whiskey?
I've gone against my own advice and pretty much devoured that donut and finished that dram.
You can try to get socialized in a week or something.
I know. Do you know, I have been drinking, I'm not going to lie, right? But see, drinking on your own, it's just not the same.
No.
It isn't. Like, it's just, there's no incentive to, not like it should be an incentive to drink more or quicker, but I had like a couple of beers because luckily, thankfully, I've been quite unaffected by it. Had minor symptoms, but isolated for the time I should have. But I mean, we're sitting watching football, having a few beers, but it gets to a point and you're just like looking around and you're like, it's just me and Gary Neville. It's just me and Gary. I'm like, I'm gonna go to bed.
Well, that's it. You're like, well, what am I staying up for? There's no point.
Totally.
Well, listen, you're soon enough, and this is a good social event for you. So.
This is brilliant. I'm loving it. I'm loving doing whiskey and donuts again. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it. It's nice to see lots of familiar names commenting and stuff. It's great. I was a bit nervous.
We've got some folk commenting that they're wanting bigger drams, Matthew.
Larger dram in the future for better mixing. Yeah, I like it. I'm all aboard that.
That seems to be a thing though. Like when you're halfway through a dram, you're thinking, I could have a little bit more of that.
I know.
Yes, to prepare with the Biscoff, what have we got for
right? Okay, so this is probably it's definitely the most expensive, but it's it's had pretty good reviews actually, and I do agree. It's a distillery I don't often rave about, to be honest. I normally think it's pretty boring what they release. But I'm actually a big fan of this. So this is. Oh, hang on, wrong way. Always forget. Let's see if I can get there we go. That's probably the best way. So this is the new Glenmorangie limited release, A Tale of Winter. So the bottle design's pretty cool. Looks like a little jumper, a Christmas jumper. So let me tell you about this. I'm just trying to remember which cask it has been in for one. There we go.
I love it.
So Glenmorangie, I'm sure most of us in this sort of neck of the woods have heard of. Up in Tain, looks over the Dornoch Firth. Really cool distillery, owned by Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy, the guys who make the fancy handbags. They also own Ardbeg, so they kind of own two really, really extreme distilleries. Glenmorangie is known for very light, delicate, fruity whiskies. Ardbeg, on the other hand, is extremely peated for kind of guys who love the sort of Islay style. I've been out there recently this year, and they've built this new place called the Lighthouse. Have you been out to see the Lighthouse?
I don't know if I have.
So it's kind of gone under the radar a little bit.
Literally out beside.
Yeah, so it's like literally outside the distillery. They've built this like glass. Imagine like a glass office block that is 20 meters tall, and it has two stills in it, and then there's like balconies that look over the stills. And this is Bill Lumsden's kind of playground. So Bill Lumsden is basically a doctor, a biochemistry, I think he studied at Strathclyde. No, Glasgow Uni, I think it was. And then he went to Heriot Watt to do a PhD in fermentation. So he's all about creating flavour. He is now, I've actually got his title written down here. I don't want to get this wrong. So hang on. So his official title is Director of Whisky Creation. So he's the guy who kind of started moving Glenmorangie into different casks. So kind of like at Balvenie, how David Stewart did the double cask bourbon to sherry. Bill Lumsden's all about interaction with wood. So, you know, you look at a lot of their releases, they've got Lasanta and sherry, they've got Quinta Reuben and port, famous iconic drams like Signet with chocolate with barley, Ugadal from Ardbeg. He is responsible for all of that. So this is his new playground, and this is also his sort of brainchild as well.
What's the percentage on that, Matt?
48, I think. No, 46. 46.
Feels bigger than 46.
Yeah. So Glenmorangie for me is normally breakfast whiskey, and that's why I don't like it.
What, you don't like whiskey at breakfast?
Well, I do, but I like to know I'm drinking whiskey at breakfast. It's the 10-year-old is lovely. It's a world selling dram. It's fine, but for me, it is just we're in a spoiled position. We get to try a lot of whiskey, and for me, it's just pretty bland. But the cask finishes like that are really, really good. The reason I think we paired this up together was because the finish on their official tasting notes. Let me have a wee look here. On their website, they describe it like a cozy comfort of a colourful winter jumper. This whiskey bursts bright, vivid flavour will delight your senses. And then it says, sweet fruit and honey on the palate with a finish of cinnamon, ginger, and clove. So I thought with the cinnamon, with the Biscoff, it should go down well.
It's really good together.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, I haven't drunk as whiskey as often in the last few weeks as normal, but
Hi. Have you looked over your shoulder? Yeah.
They're all full. They're all full.
Are they?
Moving on. But the dram is felt quite big at the beginning. That's why I asked the percentage. But actually, with the donut, it's a really nice balance with that cinnamon. It's good. I like that. And I'm the same as you. I think Glenmorangie, it's not my go-to if I'm in a bar or if I'm in the bar, your bar, or wherever. It's just not what I would choose to drink, you know. But actually, this is very good.
I think it's. I'll eat the donut first now.
So the good thing about, well, if there's anyone new watching, you might not know, but I used to work with Matt in the Malt Room. So I'm not just a donut baker who likes whiskey. I used to work in a little bit of whiskey as well. So I kind of know my way around a bottle, which is handy for this sort of thing. But yeah, water is very much your friend with whiskey as well. You get kind of, people have lots of different opinions. Everyone likes a whiskey their own way. But, you know, water is used heavily in the making of whiskey. So if you feel like something is too powerful for you or too fiery, you know, adding 1 or 2 drops of water changes it massively. And that's, you know, that's definitely not frowned upon if you want to take the edge off a little bit, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I'm just seeing James come through. Did you, when you realised you had COVID, did you go and taste and smell whiskey to taste, you know, if you had the symptoms, you know, loss of taste and smell? And Yeah, and I actually, it was fun to begin with, but I actually think my taste senses are slightly numbed down a little bit. I smelt these drams today, and I can pick out differences, but I do think even recovering now after a week, there is a slight knock back from that. So I'm really, really going to try and drink as much as I can to try and get that back up to scratch, because I feel like I'm slightly under par just now.
Sorry, I'm reading Tobias's message. Are you seeing that?
What's he saying?
He said, "As much as I love you two, it pains me to watch this. Spare a thought for the poor Englishmen who could participate."
Oh, I know. But you can go to the pub with no social distancing. We can't. So,
Yeah.
No, to be fair, this Whiskey and Donuts was just local. The post office next day delivery service is actually pretty reliable throughout the year. But this time of year, it's just a no-go. So, yeah, we didn't want to promise people Whiskey and Donuts and it didn't turn up. So, yeah, Tobias, Toby, we will definitely need to think about when the next one is, actually. But we'll maybe touch on that at the end. But
maybe Valentine's Day one.
Valentine's Day, yeah. Yeah. For sure. No, good combo that. Enjoyed that.
Yeah. We just had somebody to kind of re-explain the setup here just for any latecomers, so that's no problem. The first one is the chocolate-covered one that has the white chocolate drizzle over the top. I've eaten most of mine, so I would show you, but that's the remnants of what's left, so I can't show you that one. The second is the Biscoff, so it's got the Biscoff top on there with the dark chocolate. The third one is white chocolate with the wee crumb in the middle. The fourth is the jam-looking one. And then the last one is a chocolate one with sugar on the outside. And then your whiskies should be numbered 1 to 5 just to go alongside the donuts. That should be grand.
Maybe you can get the whiskey on prescription, Matt. Nick, if only you were a doctor. If only. They used to do that back in the day, didn't they? Guinness, pregnant women.
I know, lots of things like that.
I look a bit pregnant, really. I've been sitting on the couch for 7 days and eating this shite. Yeah, good dram. So, do you want to move on to number 3?
Yeah, I like that. That was really good.
I'm just quite enjoying it. I'm really enjoying the chat with like people, you, everyone. It's great. And like,
thank you for the conversation. It's lovely seeing everyone commenting. It's brilliant.
I'm looking at the time, like, geez, we better have another wee dram.
Crack on here.
It's always kind of like a nice dram though when you're just sitting there chatting away, and before you know it, it's kind of gone in the glass, and you're like, "Oops." Right.
Well, the third. Do you want to do the whiskey next, or will I do the donut?
I think you do the donut. Yeah, I think that's been working quite nicely.
Yeah. So the third one here has got a white chocolate topping. And so we filled this one. I'm a bit of a ginger fiend. Love ginger, and I feel like crystallized ginger is one of those things that's, I don't know, really Christmassy to me. And ginger, I suppose, is one of those spices that always comes up at ginger. Gingerbread. Ginger? I mean at Christmas. Gingerbread is one of those things. So we've done a ginger and white chocolate sort of creamed ganache, which is on the inside. And we've got the white chocolate topping and a wee bit of homemade gingerbread crumble on the top. So it should be a big mixture of quite fiery ginger, and you'll have the sweetness of the white chocolate. So the whole donut should balance itself out quite nicely.
Nice. That sounds great. So whiskey number 3 to go with it. It's actually, I think maybe one dram we've done before, but I think we might have done this one. I couldn't quite remember, but I thought this was the sort of perfect dram for this donut. Wrong way again. So, so Tomatin. It couldn't really not include Tomatin at the Christmas special. This is our local distillery, and the 14 has been finished in port casks. So Tomatin, for those who maybe, I think quite a lot of the guys are based around the Highlands, but it's our local distillery, founded in 1897. It kind of followed the trends of the whiskey world. So as the whiskey world grew, it grew. As it went through hard times, it also went through hard times. But at one point in 74, they installed 12 stills, and it was the biggest single malt producer in Scotland, which is absolutely mind-blowing, like considering it's 15 miles south of Inverness, and they were producing about 10 million litres of whiskey a year. Now that is serious, by even today's numbers. Like, I mean, there's probably only a handful of distilleries, malt distilleries, who are producing that in Scotland now. You know, Glenfiddich, your Glenlivets, I don't know what Macallan are producing, but probably Macallan. So yeah, to produce that amount is serious. But as a result, this sort of almost overproduction led to problems in the 80s, where there was generations that turned their back on whiskey, and the well-known whiskey lochs, where we lost the likes of Broras, Port Ellens, Rosebanks, because people just weren't drinking whiskey. And you look back now on those stocks, and you think you could have bought a cask of Port Ellen for £100. You know, they couldn't give it away, and now people are paying hundreds of thousands for it. So that's sort of Tomatin, and they went into liquidation, but thankfully were saved in 1986 by Takaro Shuzo, who are a Japanese company. The very first, they were a big importer of Tomatin, and it was the very first Japanese-owned Scotch whisky distillery in Scotland. Now the Japanese have a big say in it, which I think is great. So, you know, I think Bowmore is owned by Suntory, Lefroy, Gauntoshan. There's Nika own Ben Nevis. There's a lot of Japanese influence, but that's great. They're a whiskey-loving nation, and without them, the reality is Tomatin would have gone into complete liquidation and never been seen again. So I think from knowing the guys at Tomatin, I think they have heavily involvement in terms of the financials, but in terms of the day-to-day running, there's still distillery housing there. There's still a very much focus on local kind of businesses and charities. Like when we reopened after COVID, the guys from Tomatin were going around all the bars giving out 2 bottles of whiskey just to shove in the bar, you know, and just little things like that. It doesn't seem like a lot, but when you just opened up after these things, it means the world, actually. So I really, really like Tomatin. We didn't actually speak to them about tonight. This is purely this is not like a plug in any way. This is our own stock, but just a big fan of them. And I think at Christmas, it's nice to celebrate those sort of relationships. So here's to Tomatin, and here's to all you guys for supporting us. And here's
the 14. It's a which cask? Port cask.
Tawny Port. Yeah. So Tawny Port is slightly different to Ruby Port. Ruby Port is the more lighter, fruitier style, aged for less time. Tawny Port tends to be aged for much, much longer. The Tawny Port casks that this has been finished in have held port for over 50 years. So yeah, extremely well-seasoned casks. And yeah, this is where you get those kind of white chocolate, cherry, ginger kind of flavors coming through.
And it's actually, when I worked in the bar right at the beginning of that sort of first year of Malt Room opening, this would be a real good kind of go-to for people who weren't really sure about whiskey, didn't really know their way into it, wanted to like something, but kind of just had the whole idea of like Lefroy in their mind that would terrify anyone. So, and especially for women as well in the whiskey industry, it's really nice to have a kind of sweeter way in. And that's typically when we were kind of realizing this is the sort of thing that myself and many other women would like. So it just brings back lots of memories for me, because we were always sipping this. I feel like, well, I was not drinking on shift, you know, but it was
learning on shift.
Yeah, and then John always when he recommends this, what does he go for?
He always gets notes of white chocolate from this dram, and like I always get more like sort of red berries and kind of red fruits, but John, for him, it's always white chocolate. So white chocolate and ginger, that sort of combination, we thought, let's try it together. And looks like people...
that I'm not beating myself up for my own treat.
Well, Bo, a good friend of ours from Grand Whiskey Auctions, he said, great whiskies with even better donuts. Well, it's his birthday today, actually.
Oh.
So happy birthday, Bo. He's 42 today. So
happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday, Slange.
Oh, I can't reach my can. Oh.
Yeah. Well, or is he 43? It's 42 or 43. I'm not sure.
Don't age him up the way. Age him down the way always.
I don't think he's anywhere near 42 or 43.
Well, that's good.
That's a good donut.
And you know, I think we might have done this once before, and I did it with jam, but I feel like jam's the easy out, isn't it? Because I feel like for me as well, berries is the first thing, but it's nice to kind of mix it up and see what else you can kind of pair with that. So I like that. That's good.
I love that. So it's white chocolate and ginger on top?
White chocolate and ginger with a tiny bit of cinnamon in the cream.
The cream is lovely.
Yeah, we warm the cream, we melt chocolate in through it, and then we let it all set, and then you whip it afterwards. And then the ganache is obviously a white chocolate ganache over the top with a wee bit of homemade gingerbread crumb on the top. So it's good. Enjoying that.
The winner. I like that.
We'll that in the shop until the end of this week. So if anyone loves it that much, you know where we are on Church Street.
Very nice. Nice plug in there. Like it. Very good. We're getting good at this.
I know. We did it for like a year and a half or something now.
Click the link, like and share and follow.
Like, share and follow. We're not. We actually should have put our websites at the bottom or something.
Oh, honestly, like you can't be arsed for that. This is why I'm not very good at these online things.
I know. There we go.
Cool. Well, now I'm gonna turn over my sheet here.
Normal people have one of those like telly scripter things.
Well, maybe for Christmas next year, the Whiskey and Donut community can get me a telly script.
Is that what it's even called? Or I might have just made it up. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either, but I actually think people prefer when we're off script. I don't think we're very much on script, to be fair.
I think even if there was a script, it just wouldn't really work.
Doesn't really, no. Okay, so we thought after dram number 3, we'd have a little Christmas interval. So myself and Nicole, we thought we'd do a cracker. So, right, you need to do the imaginary.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, I lost.
Hey. Look at this, more drams inside for me.
You got a drum in there just for yourself.
So, I'll put my Christmas hat on.
Perfect, very good. Teleprompter, that's what it's called. Thanks for
a helicopter?
No, a teleprompter.
Oh, I thought it was like when you're watching BBC Scotland, it's like, bah, 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 helicopter.
Mark, just to let you know, Perk is open on Friday until 1 o'clock. So we're on a half day just for the staff. So yeah, until 1, from 9 until 1.
Right. So me and Nicole said,
I've got something for you.
Well, go on. So are you going to tell them what the game? So the game was, we thought we'd open a cracker and have some shit Christmas jokes. So we thought we'd look up a couple of cracker jokes each that we thought were appropriate. We don't know what these are. I don't know what her ones are. She doesn't know what my ones are. So you go first.
Honestly, I had such a good time looking after these jokes. I've been laughing all afternoon. It's fantastic. So can't beat a rubbish joke. But my first one, which is so perfect for the moment. What's Santa's go-to donut order?
I'm quite competitive with these things. Sorry, I'm ruining the moment.
There's a time limit here. 3 seconds.
Snow. No, I don't know.
You've ruined it. Okay, it's called a jolly filled donut.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. I'll give you that one. Are we going to go 1 and 1, or are you going to go
Your turn.
Go 1 and 1. I thought this was the perfect joke for this evening.
Oh.
I'm starting a new job. What sort of job? I'm an expert egg beater. That's whiskey business. I thought that could not have been better.
Actually, that is so perfect.
That's pretty good.
Cheers. That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Well, that was my first one. That was good.
Whiskey business.
Right. Right, I could do another Santa one, but maybe we'll do one more. Do you have 3? How many do you have?
We'll do one more each. We'll pick. I've wrote down a few in case we duplicated. So
okay, well this is my last one, which I absolutely
Right.
love this. So it says, why shouldn't you get in a fight with a baker?
Go on, don't know.
So good. Because she'll beat the focaccia.
That is good. That is good. I'll give you that.
I cried when I read that earlier. I thought,
Yep. Give you that. Right. Oh, what's
focaccia.
I'll keep on the baking theme for the last one.
Go on.
What does Santa use to bake cakes?
Oh no, I don't know. Go on.
Elf raising flour.
I should have guessed that. That was rubbish.
And okay, we'll get back to whiskey and donuts. They were good. I thought they were good.
Wait, I've got one more.
Okay, well, I'll do what. Okay.
Right, okay. So why couldn't Santa pay his bills?
Go on.
He ran out of dough.
Okay, that's good. So this isn't actually a cracker joke, but it is. I was reading Billy Connolly's book, and there's a quote from Billy Connolly, which I just thought is brilliant for this time of year. So his quote is, "Life is a waste of time. Time is a waste of life. Get wasted all the time, and you'll have the time of your life."
Oh, that's great. I love that.
So, yeah, cheers.
Oh, cheers to that. That was good fun. Oh, it's hard getting the can.
Right. What are we? Number 4. Oh.
I'm cheersing myself over here. Okay, so number 4 is a classic. We've done this a few times in Whiskey and Donuts, but when it comes to donuts, you just cannot beat a jam donut. So coming from our granny, my granny's recipe. So we've got a mixed berry jam, we've got a bit of berries, strawberries, raspberries, blueberries, all the berries basically, in a wee jam, and just with a bit of sugar coating on the outside. And jam with the big berry flavors is always a good pairing with whiskey as well, because it's kind of a common note that you find in a lot of the whiskies with different sherry casks and port casks and things. So it's a good one.
Cool. Okay, so dram number 4, a distillery that I think we all are a big fan of here, and wrong way again. There we go. There we go. So this is the new release from Ardnamurchan. So Ardnamurchan are a distillery on the west coast of Scotland, set up in 2014. Yeah, where to even start with them? So in the bar, we're big fans of Adelphi. So Adelphi are an independent bottler, that one of the grandsons of the original family, who had a distillery in Glasgow called Adelphi Distillery. It's now home of the major mosque, I think, in Glasgow is where the building used to be, but ceased to exist. And then his grandson opened up a bottling company, which is now recently in 2004 was bought over by the current owners. So Adelphi are an indie bottler, so they buy casks of whiskey from other distilleries, bottle them as single casks, and we really enjoyed their single casks, and we're super excited to hear that there were plans for a distillery. So they funded a distillery in Ardnamurchan on the west coast. So for those who haven't been to Ardnamurchan, it is the most westerly point on the mainland of Scotland. So it's pretty inaccessible, quite a challenging place to set up a distillery, but probably one of the most beautiful parts of Scotland as well. Midges are a problem in the summer, but it rains a lot. I think it's the most for Fort William / the west coast of that sort of area has the most rainfall in the UK. But when you get it on a good day, there is no better place. And Ardnamurchan has been extremely popular with collectors already. But I really like what they're doing with these sort of releases. So on the bottle, you'll see here, this is the, let's see if I can get this right. There we go. So it's the 6th batch I think you have some behind you as well.
Yeah, I've got that one actually. I've got a few little ones.
So yeah, released in 10th month of 2021. As a split, they have 50% peated and 50% unpeated in here, and 65% of the makeup is ex-bourbon casks and 35% is sherry. So this is still going to be quite young whiskey. I mean, 2021, 14, there's probably like 5-6-year-olds, maybe some 7 here. I'm not entirely sure. But it's young, it's fresh. But it has those coastal sort of notes, a little bit of smoke. It's not too overpowering, but in terms of quality of liquids, we're big fans of Ardnamurchan, and I think you are too. Yeah, it's just really, really good.
You're kind of guaranteed like a good standard with Ardnamurchan as well, you know, and it feels really close to home, and it, you know, I don't know, there's something very, I don't know, it just feels kind of unique and homely about what Ardnamurchan are doing, and genuine as well. There's no, I don't know, I don't know if I'm getting.
No, I know exactly what you mean. I think it feels honest.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because we know the people and there's a human relationship there, which I think really does help. But they are putting their heart and soul into the whiskey. There's no marketing spraff. They have a real issue. Their issue is actually, who do they sell their whiskey to? It's not a case of like, oh, buy our whiskey, it's this, it's that. And I think when you find yourself in that situation, you know you're doing something right. And even now, like this stuff, I think comes in about 50-ish pounds a bottle retail. I'm not entirely sure.
What's the percentage of this one, Matt?
46.
Okay, yeah.
46.8.
Nice.
So what they did is I think they released it about batches of about 15,000 bottles because they wanted people to enjoy their whiskey, to drink their whiskey. You know, and I think that's really, really important. You know, there's a lot of these new distilleries where people are just buying and holding, and there's something about young whiskey that's great, and people are trying their best to make good whiskey. Let's open it, let's drink it. You know, I get there's a temptation to collect it, but you know, it's good. Yeah.
I suppose the age-old ethos of whiskey is it's there to be drunk and enjoyed, and enjoyed, you know, and it's a very social drink in itself. So yeah, it's important to try and keep that up as much as we all want to collect, and you know, there's potential to make big gains. It's important to honor what the whole reason behind kind of whiskey is, you know.
Yeah. You never get a funny story sitting looking at a bottle, you know.
Or some loose nights on the tune, you know.
What's that?
Yeah, or some loose nights on it.
Totally. Yeah. Loose nights in my living room by myself here the last 7 days, charging about. But no, it's I think whiskey collecting is one of those things where I have a personal collection. There's no denying, like it's a smart thing to buy and invest in. It's an amazing product to hold on to. But stuff like this, you know, get it open, get it drunk. So it's nice. Let's see what the comments are saying. So we've got Kate was saying tomato tasting was great. Handed out distillery tours and they've honoured them, which is great. James, I would make a joke about Matt getting COVID, but it would be tasteless.
Yeah.
I like it. What's Rob saying? First Ardnamurchan won't be the last, and same as Mark. Yeah, no, we're big fans. Big fans of Ardnamurchan for sure.
So, any favourites up until this point before we try the last one? Has anyone got any?
Oh shit! I haven't even tried the donut.
Oh, get your mouth around that. Any favourites, or have you tried any mixings of the whiskies and the donuts yet at all? Anything that you want to let us know that worked really well, or didn't work really well? That'd be good to let us know.
That's a classic. Love it.
A jam donut. That's where the love of donuts really came from. Was jam donuts. My granny was always making jam, always teaching us to make jam. And a jam donut for me, it's like there's literally, we have made different menus for every single month for the last 3 years, and there literally isn't a donut that beats a jam donut for me. My absolute favorite. I think it's
it is a classic, isn't it?
Yeah. Absolutely.
$5 for £1 in Tesco's. Can't you beat them? Like, couldn't.
I hope you go to Tesco's and enjoy your small, stale jam donut, okay? I'm raving about my granny's jam here, okay?
No,
As a whiskey connoisseur, you should know better, okay?
I take it back. These are not on the same level.
No.
Tesco's are better.
You're lucky you're not sitting next to me tonight, I'm telling you.
No, I can get away with more. It's good.
Oh. Cheeky bugger.
Very good. Very good. Donut 3 and Dram 3, best so far. Arden American is really flavoursome and goes well with jam. Best whiskey of the night. Wow. Do you know what? That's actually really nice to hear. I have no real connection. My dad's from the West Coast and we like the guys at Arden American, but I honestly have no affiliation with them in any way. I just think their stuff's really good. So it's really nice to see that people are saying that's best dram of the night, because it's been up against some really, really good stuff. I mean, Tomatin 14 is a 70, 80 pound bottle of whiskey. So is Taylor Winter, I think, was 85. Oban 14 is a classic that's been there for 20 years. So to put Arden American even in the conversation is quite brave.
I want to say I really like the Glenmorangie as well, though. I really like that. That's unusual for me, but so far I really enjoyed that. It was good.
Yeah. Okay, right. Should we do number 5?
Final one.
There's people calling out for a jam, the recipe. There's people asking for a book here, Nicole.
Listen, a book is something that's been discussed, so watch this space. And the jam recipe, well, it's Granny's. It's not even mine, so it's not mine to protect. But it'll definitely be something to. I can give you the recipe. Send me a message, and I'll send you the recipe. I'm excited about this final
yeah. So the last, do you want to do donut first?
Yeah, okay. So I've done a chalk. So we like to do a kind of big, powerful donut as the final one, very big and mouthy to kind of match, because we usually would end with whiskey with a kind of big mouthy one as well, something peaty or smoky. So we've gone with a chocolate and salted caramel ganache. So you should get both the flavors, the kind of sweet stickiness of the caramel with the kind of a mixture of a light and dark chocolate in there as well. And that's why we've just covered it in sugar, because it's so big in the inside, it doesn't need anything else on the outside. So that's what we've done.
Nice. So with caramel, the first thing I always think of is salted caramel. So I try to think about the sort of saltiest kind of whiskey we could find. And this is it here. So this is Rock Island.
I've never seen this before.
So Rock Island Sherry Edition. So Rock Island is from Douglas Lang. So Douglas Lang are an independent bottler who have been going for about 70 years now. Douglas Lang found himself kind of in charge or in ownership of a small whiskey parcel, really. It was like 4 or 5 casks and a client list from the US and South America. And kind of built it from there. He was demobbed from the RAF. And I had to Google what demobbed meant.
Yeah, what does that mean?
So it just means let go of the services, apparently. So he was demobbed from the RAF in 1948 and then set up Douglas Lang. And 70 years later, they're still going strong. So he's quite an interesting character. He's very old school, has a big moustache. Kind of, if you imagine Richard Patterson of the whiskey world, he's kind of like that on steroids. But yeah, as a company, they have the Old Particular range. You'll maybe see the XOP range, and then they do these regional styles. So my jumper, for example, which Jamie from Douglas Lang came in. Again, this is not a plug or anything. It's all our own stock, but it's Scallywag, which is a Speyside kind of blend of stock. Whereas this is Rock Island, which is a mixture of island whiskey. So included in the makeup, we have Arran, we have Jura, we have a whiskey from Orkney, which we cannot disclose, but Scapa does not sell to independent bottlers, so I can assume it's Highland Park. And yeah, this is basically their sort of sherry kind of finish. But I find this.
Who's all in that?
So there's Arran, Jura, and Orkney, which is
Orkney, but
Highland Park. And this is their so the normal one is lovely. So we do in the bar, we do a Rock Island margarita, which is like a salty margarita. But this, I think, is just so salty.
It is salty.
Like genuinely mouth-dryingly salty. Which I think with the salted caramel that we can make salted, I think should be quite a fun experiment.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. And what's the percentage of this last one?
And this is good question. 46.8.
Oh.
Which is I'm pretty sure what they bottle all their regional malts at. It's 46.8. They're quite strict with their bottling percentages, but yeah, really good independent bottler and very accessible as well. The likes of Adelphi, we're quite spoiled in the bar because we get one of each kind of release, but for the normal sort of person on the street trying to get that, it's just so hard now with the collectability factor. Whereas Douglas Lang stuff, really approachable, really affordable. I'm not sure what that is a bottle. It's probably about 45, 50 pounds a bottle, maybe. But in terms of like a maritime quality, it's up there. I find that so salty.
Yeah, it's like drying.
So drying, yeah.
Dries your tongue while you're drinking it. Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's a good combination, that as well. Because it's almost like, it's borderline like, woo, a bit, almost too much. And then I think actually the caramel in that does balance it out, and the chocolate kind of takes that away a wee bit. It's good. I'm liking that.
Lovely. Good combo. Well, what's everyone's favourite combos?
Yeah. Any favourites that are stand out? Anything that you wouldn't go back to? I mean, whiskey-wise, usually whiskey-wise, my fifth is always a favourite because it's a big peat bomb. But I actually think if I had to choose, for me, maybe between 1 and 2. I really like the Open. I like that Glenmorangie, really weirdly, but yeah.
Yeah. So, like, I'm just reading there. Sorry.
Oh, the spicy.
That whiskey is crazy salty, but surprisingly good. Have to be raw. Best combo tonight. Lovely. James, serious question. Oh, this is unlike James. Hang on. This is making me nervous. I struggle to get the subtle flavors and notes that people talk about, but I love spicy food. Do you think the spicy food kills your taste buds, or is it something you're born with? I think there's
spicy food definitely kills it.
I think there's two parts to that. I think spicy food is quite aggressive on the palate and will numb you to more delicate flavors. But I also think there's a scientific thing in there where there's this test I did at a tasting once. I found it really interesting, where they gave out a little bit of paper to the whole room, and you had to put it on your tongue, and you had to say, what does it taste of? And about 80% of the room, including myself, it tasted of nothing. And there was about 20% of people in the room said that is really bitter. So there are about 10 to 20% of us are what you regard as super tasters, where their tongue does pick up more flavor than the rest of us. The other part of it, what I find, is actually it's about learning a language. So, when people say, "Oh, it tastes smoky," yeah, yes, it does. And if I came in and said, "Well, no, it's more like a burnt orange smoke with like tar and a bit of like old seaweed and rope, and there's a maritime, like an oyster shell," that sounds more impressive, right? But we're both getting the same flavor.
Yeah.
I've just learned a language of how to describe that better. So when I say oyster shell and fresh maritime or salty, it's a guide. It does not mean I am picking up, it's all about learning a language. And there's a lot of bullshit around it as well, but people just make up stuff. But I think if you're in the right ballpark, if you're thinking it's smoky or if you think this is sweet, then fine. And if you enjoy the dram, who cares? Like it's part of my job, I guess. I have to try and explain it in a more eccentric way, but by no means do I sit at home and think, Tonight I fancy a rose petal or cardamom and rose dram. It's just not realistic.
Yeah.
If you like the dram, you like the dram, and don't overthink it.
Yeah. Cool.
Sorry, I went on a bit of a rant there.
No, I'm enjoying it. Good.
Yeah.
James just said, "Damn, I'm shite at languages too." That might explain it.
Oh, love it.
Can't win them all. We can't win them all.
No.
What was your favorite pairing?
Good question. I think I like donut number 1. Either that or I was hungry. I absolutely devoured that. But I think donut 3 with tomato, maybe.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, thinking back to that. See, to be honest, I actually really enjoyed them all. I really liked them today. Yeah, it's really good.
A real nice mix. So I guess we'll probably wrap it up there.
Yeah.
We're just hitting the 8 o'clock time there. But
just a funny little thing before we go. I delivered obviously a few boxes today myself, and we've just had a comment from Ian saying, like the first dram, best, and there was enough left to try them together. Sorry to whoever delivered up to us today and slipped on our iced up ramp. Well, that was me. There was a few houses that I almost was flat on my face like 2 or 3 times, walking like a penguin. So yeah, be careful if you guys are out and about, because it is treacherous out there. Stay at home and drink whiskey.
Brilliant. You've seen Mark as well. In the future, we'll be willing to do a 2-tier tasting, standard pricing, or a more higher priced one with larger drams, as we always run out before we mix and match. Yeah, I'm sure we can look into that. Like, this is the thing with whiskey and donuts. It's always evolving, and your input is really important. So whatever you guys think could make this better, whatever you guys have enjoyed or maybe not enjoyed, this sort of feedback is really helpful for us. So and we've not done one in a while. We've kind of been focusing on actually being hands-on in bar and bakery, and we've all had, like everyone has had, challenges over the last 12 months. So hopefully next year we'll be a bit more structured, and we can offer, I think we're thinking Valentine's Day sounds like the next one. And there was chat of maybe gin options and whatnot. So we'll definitely think about it and try and offer as much as we can for you guys. But I guess thanks for support.
If you get in touch if there's anything you have in mind, anything that you would like us to do, something you feel like is missing or lacking, let us know. We are, as Matt said, we're constantly evolving. So any input is valued.
Yeah, great. Well, I think that's probably us.
Yeah. I love this tonight. It's perfect.
Yeah. Good. Me too. Well, have a good new year, everyone. And I think in the new year we'll be hopefully back in the Malt Room, upstairs, doing it in person. But hopefully this has worked well for everyone. In the situation, I think it's gone quite well. So
for your faces as well, thanks for coming back and supporting us throughout this whole.
Absolutely.
It's really important for us, and it's been amazing to see people constantly returning, and we're really lucky to be able to have this outlet. So yeah, it's amazing. Thank you so much.
Slange.
Oh,
right.
I'm looking forward to this one.
Cheers.
Cheers.